Dạ, chào mừng quý đạo hữu, mình đã đến với cái pháp ngày cuối cùng của Pháp hội 100 triệu minh chú Mani lần thứ 3. Thì quý vị đạo hữu người Việt Nam mình chọn phòng phiên dịch tiếng Việt để mà mình nghe tiếng Việt ạ. Welcome all Dhamma friends to the last day of the third 100 million Mani recitation retreat. Today, His Eminent Garchen Rinpoche will continue giving us instruction on Chenrezig practice. So please be settled and ready to welcome Rinpoche to the Zoom room. Because today is also the last day, so you can also prepare the kata in advance so that we can offer to Garchen Rinpoche when the thank you session start. Thank you. So for different language, we have English, Vietnamese, and Chinese room. So please select your own language by clicking the clock icon and coming to your preferable language room. The audio will be turned off all the time until there is the request from the organizer. In the meanwhile, your video can be turned on so that Rinpoche can see you during the session. So please do not use the right hand function unless it's an emergency or the organizer had to remove you from the Zoom. The organizer also prepare a lovely virtual background for you to change because it is also the last day. So you can take time to change the virtual background and we can take photo in the thank you session later. If you have any questions or need any assistance, we have Chinese cohort to support Chinese friends. For English speaker and Vietnamese, please choose any cohort to assist you. And thank you for your attention, and we are going to start the first session very soon. Chashidele Rinpoche.
Chahidele, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We are good. We still have last day.
Okay. You have any music?
We have, but we wait for GBI to start the Gargon Bell.
Okay. Good morning. Ding.
Yeah.
다시들 자자 칼란 저거들이 도들 모두 도오면 콜로 그들 참 jakab 소리들이 근데 막 참만들이 다시들 놀라줘이
다시들 람보체
Rinpoche Sajam Dashi Delek, and thank you for mainly Dodin Rinpoche, and then also all the assembly of the Sangha, and joining from all over the world, from the different countries. Dashi Delek, and long life to you all.
다시 리나다가 리 따뜻한 공적 시제 따뜻한 자자 가자가라고 왔더니 그래서 제가 로타 차트들인데 기타도 그요리 드리다 드리 같이 들이가 간디나더니 데기드 이제 손나더니 배우 삼진 잡았어 그요리 데 간나더니 다 쳤당더니 다 게타 용서도 과탐지더니 용호의 제일 봐서 이 저당 노시바데 강리들이 게타스는 제바 남양 들이 가당 거도 마디 만한 것도 쉬어들이 막 삼당 년지 초대를지 사제 좀 내지 그 삼당 년지 초대 정도 치보다 남양 제바 메바 그래서 뭐 대근 나들이 야들이 되고서 남양 쓰는데 준 체제메바 그래서 나가서 잡아를 갖듯이 만남 작을 거리 수남 센터미 바에 체적 상제 왕소쇼서 이 수남 센터미 바에 수남 그 잡도 좀 되는들이 버크요래 그렇게 방식 제거를 들들이 용도시고이 내 강의들이 잡당서 수남 집안은 로아를 독소시 주라 대식님 뭐 그런 요리 정도 선 대식님 어디 들이 시랍 차 bomba ngi chaatela sawaati sar tong song jokde dereti ti sar chaatela suna topde yo de toni di wochi no te non sunam sibade samjigel halevari deli tera data gndi go chopa jachegodo tera tabjega deni tata pombotom dono sowa itela gitarrangi gisoriana 제가 조관 조도 잡아서 조관을 지세요라서 데이터 게타시 받으더니 데와도 데베 지치고 되지 게스트와치 게타 탐치 철들는 게타 조도 데와 데는 내가 같은 차제 데와서 많이 받으니 내가 제가 탐치라 토리온데 타톡 상제고 방지 내가 다톡 이들이 핀데요와 대대와 호주메 대와 주고 돌리는 자사 토토바 데르트는 라지 돈이 럽타바 라지 그들이 매바다 또하는 마디베 데랑 주고 자사 톰네 세피하게 로도 짐메 체조와 데이터가 수남시 바다 저쪽으로 데이터 돌아만 보지 요래 들이 제외는 테스트들이랑 되죠. 이렇게 작하시죠.
So today, again, it is a auspicious time for us to meet together. So because now every year we are holding such a retreat of 100 million mantra accumulation once a year, and that is an incredible root of virtue that we are practicing together. And so that is because it is said that if only 4 Sangha members meet together and practice, the benefits are inconceivable. And that is because of the root of virtue that is being accumulated. It is also said that in the end of any virtuous practice, we must perform dedication. And so generally, what is dedication? When we dedicate properly, then our merit will never become exhausted in all lifetimes. We also mentioned that during the recent teachings on the fivefold path of Mahamudra, where it says that the ocean of love and compassion of the Buddhas is a precious treasure. So if we add our virtue through dedication to the vast ocean of the Buddha's merit, then our own merit will also become inexhaustible. And so also in the Zambala self-empowerment prayer, in the end it says, may I attain enlightenment in a single lifetime, which is the endless accumulation of merit. So when we dedicate our merit, we are adding our merit to the vast merit ocean of the Buddhas. And so I will just speak a little bit about that today, because normally we have spoken about that a lot. But so what is the merit is something that's inherent in the minds of all sentient beings. In the minds of all beings in the 6 realms of samsara, there is Buddha nature. And because they possess Buddha nature, they possess a quality of wisdom, which is the quality of emptiness. And then also that has a quality, an aspect of compassion, which is the clarity aspect. And we call that the union of clarity and emptiness. So the clarity aspect, that is the merit that we attain. It is also said that emptiness has compassion at its core. So merit depends on one's love and compassion. And so regarding the Sangha assembly, this vast Sangha assembly, the great benefit of that, for example, it is also said in the 3 Heap Sutra that there is great benefit in joining, participating in the practice of virtue, but even just rejoicing in the virtue practiced by others is of an incredible merit. And this so-called root of virtue is the only cause of happiness. So we can say that in brief, all virtue in the end is nothing else but whatever leads to happiness. And we are not just speaking about the temporary, short-lived happiness, but also temporary happiness, but in the sense of in all future lifetimes, one will attain the qualities, the 7 qualities of the higher realms. And ultimately, one attains the state of enlightenment. So the merit is the cause of temporary and ultimate benefit and happiness. And ultimately, the unchanging happiness, which is the state of the Buddha Vajradhara, the unchanging state of the Dharmakaya. And so that is what is attained. And once that is attained, the benefit of self and others is accomplished naturally, without needing to make any effort. It just happens naturally. And so therefore it is said that when one attains the royal seat, the kingdom of the Dharmakaya, one will engage in the benefit of sentient beings continuously and effortlessly. And so that is therefore the endless merit. And so there are many meanings, there's a lot of meaning to merit, but in brief, that is what merit is.
그래서 미 파파가 가게를 소놈지바 가면 오 매주는 거기서 지리지나 이제 밑에 들었더니 코라랑 게디 네 렉당 집아서 로조당 무슨 초과도 될 바체미바 정수는 어디 메소놈 쳐버리지 이 추가 사는 이나들이 답이 추가 사와라더니 라동으로 들이 주고 자사통의 인동들이 सबकी 동체 들어들 인생이 지신 감세 어따 최대 송남지 거래 쓰는데 논나지들이 다시 포섬 줘봐서 어떻게 따라들이 쓰는지라고요. 이제 쓰는랑이가 되지 절직 중국으로 쓰는 거 좋대요. 어다 공시에 봐나지 요다한테 이제 제발 강내 남바 사제베 때 말하시구나. 이 값을 좋아도 sem지 봐스. 대기를 손에들이 쏘는 것도 없대 쓰는 충성들어들이 전부 잘 놓고요. 타는 것들이 무슨 풍부선반 도가는 선반하기 짐바 타는 들리지내서 집어서 새 감적도 없다고 그랬다와 강나보 당수 대량들이 랑글용아 이성 거 좋아라 들이들이서다 지지지 송고가 생 삼바 누구 섬제베 때려라더니 리치볼 줄로고요. 제가 당부들이 짝수로라 뛰니 상계의 용띠 지수진 봐. 죽의 지수진 봐. 삼바는 얘기 체면 봐. 제 용띠진 봐. 내려지는 저 견디 대습지 탐지를 대식요 봐. 대답을 지수진만 거리대. 다고 나와라 뛰니 대습지 탐지를 대식요 보여와. 내려 뛰니 대습지 탐지 코알 좋아요와 동시바데 내려지는 데리다다 benatapo daga sambato del ti tongxiu deli ta top sumde jinchi me ba ngi geta kari dhamne deli ge me jiwa jiga semra le wale deve jatabje ge wa xia kare dunge ge jatabje me ge wa xia kare te yunga te semte ka duko yore te ta ge ba sa wa xia ba de ya japsu no sa je ge yong ti xi deli ta me chu je yong ti sem지 탐지 이제 대식용 못해요 봐시는 가사 되게 시우 가다가 엄마는 배매 홍 체미 봐야 이거는 만원도 찍동네요 들이 현고마 탐지 주버지야 주디가 잡다 봐 건드서 뭐 주디가 잡다 봐 현고마 탐지를 끼찍찍 들으라는 거 속에 내랑 박차지 쌉도 놓다 봐 데이터를 차도 거에 만원 저쪽들 누가 저쪽 봐 데이터는 봐시는 이 강이 저대식 뭐들 이 로버치니서 로버치니까 좀 말이봐 다도 봐 나도 다도 나도 말이봐지 대식 뭐 그러나 다지 이요 말이 때 마시를 다지 있었잖아 이 말이봐들 뛰니 들자다 저 대들이 차당 박차 개와 탐지나 별 삼세요라 내가 다도 좀 다도 소리 차 인소로 당 차당이 손들이 차를 들 개버다 와서 좀 개발은 좀 좋아요래 당부 대화에 볼 들이가 동네를 좀 동네에 난 토이스는 저 동네에 어때 대기 좋아요래 대 탐지를 일마들이 나가서 또 시바 이제 하고서 이제 타고 하는 거 하고 대들이 대기집부터 또 당상을 대기집부터 오 상제의 용띠지 그 상제의 용띠 상제 취소 출려들 된바니 내가 타톡 돈담 거 된바 내가 랑적 가서 버터고 되마서 대들이 대기식부터 취지 연재 없이 봐도 오 세지 탑지를 대식도 보여래 뭐뭐 상제 뭐자가 생 게자 올해 따와 뭐사에서 뭐요 생기 대탑지 이제 가가용만 코스는 나발만 또 오면 와서 때려들이다 타톡 상제 거방나 도야요 같아서 다다티 책대 저도 동고요 이제 하나는 저도 무슨 설중종이었다고 상에는 설에는 또 쓸때 참고를 가래 다홍아서 잡기도 맞지 잡기도 와요 잡수도 샘 대발 샘지바 샘지바는 샘지 탑재 동네를 돌고 삼이 샘지바지 대대대 뭐해제들 샘지바다 뭐하다 손질 차대 대회들이 다 뭐가 또 들들이 취지 이제 또 싶어요 이제 사지 생기냐 저지요 봐 이제 람인 레벨이 송들이 거기서 뭐나서만이 사지 생기요 가까이 오면 이제 소리요 말이지 내가 로버로 박차들었어 단포대기 차대와 딜랑당들이 최카이 잡주카이 차롱다와 차대와 걔들이 삼마당 이제를 들이들이 혁터 받들 생기던 고가 동을 좋아해 봐 대여 봤을 때 톱스럽지 동대시나 가래는 같이 보이는 거요 대면 받을 게 다지만 다 삼등지로 다지인지 왕자 소나 이렇게 이게 게는도 차들을 자체로와 차당자라 송량 세가 배마세가 노관적으로 대다 톱순지 기시죠 기정을 요래지
And so to explain this meaning of merit also in ordinary terms for just a worldly person. So in a normal ordinary sense, so there's maybe we call somebody he possesses great merit. For example, when they are of a good family or a good lineage, or they possess perfect resources and enjoyment and so on, and they don't encounter many obstacles, then we think of them as somebody who possesses great merit in a worldly sense. And then from a Dharma perspective, when we speak about great merit, then it is someone who has attained for one's own purpose the kingdom of the Dharmakaya, and for the sake of others, they are able to engage in the benefit of sentient beings. So that is someone of great merit. And also the perfect auspiciousness is something that is basically has the same meaning as possessing great merit. So perfect auspiciousness is kind of an equivalent of great merit. And then on an ultimate level, we all possess great merit because of Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the inherent merit that we possess, as we mentioned before. But then where is the difference between beings come about? Now, when we enter the Buddhist path, what distinguishes that path is the refuge and the motivation of bodhicitta. And that is what determines the magnitude of the merit that one accumulates. So through refuge and bodhicitta, we can turn a small virtue into a vast merit. Also in the Three Heap Sutra, it is said, for example, a small merit like the virtue of generosity, giving just a spoonful of food to an animal out of generosity. And also Lord Jigten Sumgön had said that when it comes to the accumulation of merit, there are three special fields of merit. So there is the special or kind of aspects, what makes the merit very strong, yeah? And that is there's a certain kind of recipient or a field. Then second is a certain kind of thought or intention. And then the third one is a certain object that is being offered. And so through the interdependence of these kind of grave fields, these three grave fields, we can turn a small merit into a great merit. And so we do that first by cultivating refuge. So first we take refuge. When we take refuge, we remember the qualities of the Buddha. And we remember the qualities of the Dharma, which is the qualities of love and compassion, the four immeasurables. And we remember the qualities of the companion, the Sangha. And also we remember the Buddha nature inherent within the minds of all sentient beings. With a pure perception, we recognize that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature. And on the basis of that, we understand that because they possess Buddha nature, they all can become liberated from samsara. So that there's this prayer that we always recite on the three powers. It's actually in the smoke offering too. And it speaks first of the first power. And the first power is the power of my own intention. Just in case you have the text, it's on page 7. So in the smoke offering. So the power of my own intention is, let's say the three powers together is what makes any virtue, any merit become very powerful and become limitless. And this is what gives the Buddhist practice such power. And when we think about virtue and non-virtue, what makes the difference between that virtue and non-virtue is the state of mind only. So if the state of mind is virtuous, then that leads to happiness. The nature of that is happiness. And if the state of mind is negative, then that leads to suffering. But it's still one and the same mind. One mind creates all of that. And so first, when we take refuge, we have said we remember the qualities of the Buddha and of the Dharma, and that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature. And then if you know that and you recite just one single Om Mani Padme Hum mantra based on the four immeasurables, then that becomes a vast merit. We speak about these offering clouds of Samantabhadra. Then offering clouds of Samantabhadra will make offerings to all the higher beings and pervade everywhere. And then also this motivation, this intention, the power of your own intention has the power to dispel the karmic visions and karmic imprints in the minds of sentient beings in an instant. And that is why it is said that the 6 syllables of the Mani mantra can liberate the sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara. So understand the power of this practice and understand that beings possess their potential to awakening because they possess Buddha nature. It is just that nature is temporarily obscured by ignorance, which is a grasping at a self. Actually, in Buddha nature itself, there is no such duality of self and other. It is just that we don't know that, and so we falsely believe in the existence of self and other. And that is what we call ignorance. And then with an ignorant mind, we accumulate many karmic imprints, many karmic patterns of attachment and aversion or anger. And so even though our state of mind may be partially virtuous, it still becomes defiled by the ignorance behind it. For example, if we love someone, then it also leads to an attachment to one's own side and to an aversion against the other. So attachment and aversion always come together. And then something that is actually virtuous, this mind of love, also becomes partially non-virtuous because it becomes attachment. And so in the beginning, there is happiness, and in the end, that turns into suffering. And that is the nature of our samsaric existence. That's the suffering of change. So first, the first power, again, is the power of my own intention, my own completely pure intention. Then the second power to understand is the power of the Buddhas. So the force of the Tathagata's blessings. And so here we recollect the qualities of the Buddhas. And then from the Buddha appeared the Dharma, and the Dharma consists of the twofold truth, of which the ultimate happiness is the ultimate truth, and the temporary truth lays out the temporary path. And then the third power is the power of the Dharma Dhatu, and that is the Buddha nature of all sentient beings. And so in this way, according to Buddhist practice, we dedicate our virtue, sealing it with those 3 powers, any root of virtue. So the virtue is really sealed by the view of seeing how things really are. That ultimately, on the basis, there really is no separation between all beings. And that is called the dedication that is free from the 3 spheres. It is to recognize that all sentient beings can attain the state of enlightenment. So this is all in this prayer that we always recite along with the Sangha or the sword or the smoke offering. And I've been always reciting since a young age. And there's this one prayer in the beginning of the smoke offering that explains the 3 powers, like a prayer of the 3 powers. And so again, first, we take refuge, we take the refuge vow, and then that leads to bodhicitta. And here we think that may all sentient beings become liberated from suffering. And in the end, that is sealed with dedication. So actually, the initial motivation and the dedication in the end are really unified. So this is how we dedicate on the basis of those 3 powers. And so most importantly, when we dedicate on this basis, we must understand that on the basis which is the ground of our fundamental nature, there is no separation between Buddhas and sentient beings. As it is said in the Samantabhadra prayer, there is only a single ground, yet 2 paths and 2 fruitions. And on this ground, Buddhas and sentient beings are not separate. So that is our fundamental nature. And only temporarily does it appear that we are separate. Only temporarily, due to this adventitious obscuration, samsara and nirvana both manifest. And this is just like ice having frozen, as water having frozen into ice. And that can be melted with a mind of love and compassion. So when you know the single basis, you know that all sentient beings have the potential to become liberated from samsara. So if you really understand the meaning of the three powers, then the power of any of your practices or aspirations will become really great. And also on the basis of love and compassion, self-grasping diminishes. So for now, we still have a dualistic perception of self and other. And in this state, we must give rise to compassion for others. And initially, this compassion becomes partially virtuous and partially non-virtuous, because the compassion also may turn into an attachment, which is on the one hand beneficial but also harmful. Anyways, it's very important for you to understand the meaning of those three powers.
Bepe shokja todo ba mame jo na wa jo be tu ti ne top so nam ti mata pa jo wa mle che tu lo che mi le me va te ro te so nam yong yong go yo te so nam che te mata pa le lo re so nam shok si ba te so nam shok te ra ge ji wa ne ji wa che ra ne che ra se ba nyam de no ni ze da so nam si ba te yo re te kang le de sa ma de ni ge re sa ba re ra ji ge ju le sa ba yo ba 제 삼바 되는 데는 hinge지 세세묘가 대지들이 것이 좀 삼치 다지 배나 싸니 이제 삼바다 hinge 우리가 다지지 봐셔 온 거요래 다지지 토고도 돼 토고요 말 데르들이 시합제요래 데르들이 사지 좀 되게 배나 송 배나 데르다 생거 체발에 배나 수능 사지 받다 수능 무구수 남라 양 참을 독조당 다우스 남사디 주바 자치 bom보로 초자치 보사 제바 자치 보통니 요래 이나 대탐제다 다디 남사바 소침보리 기타는 그런 소침보리 벨리티 생기 제발 삼배 제발 열지 제발 대탐제를 들이 수남서 저 로그로 테라들 벨리 생기 제발 생고 조스면 되는 벨리 문제됐어 이 야와 아쇼카를 보고 총무께서 사지 랑가르페 사지 송지는 제마 좋아감 일퍼를 랑게들이 제마 세리 인사는 사지 표현에 사지 그랬더니 그거 어디다 하다 사지부터 제마도 나고 줘서 이 추구 잘았던들이 남성들이 돌아가는 다들 가르쳐 거지도 다들 세마들이 철로 샤와티는 돌아가를 파 족줘서 사지게 대송들이 지만티 자와 아쇼카드네 이 잡는 사케라키 자고서 자와 아쇼카드 티타 로리요레 티타 솔람 총총 티타는 체본을 돼 생기 체발스 데르티들이 다 열지 체발 다서 열지 체발다 생기 체발 그 삼비 체발다 다지 보면 다 semti 다지 하면서 나는 사진 체들이들 벌써 그런데 내가 동서난 것들이 랑게들이 삼비 체발들이 랑게들 semti 받들이 정도 요래 semti 받들이 쓰는 거 이제 semti 받은 쓰는 거 저기 오지 봐 차대 요래 semti도 내고 소스는 줘봐 벌리 semti 탐제를 비받아 대화는 정도 삼을 놓아서나 사람 체partini 오가 마체들 집고 소는 질제부터 내가 종하면 들이 준준 메시를 쏠라고 저러고 말이 내가들이 토리게 되었다면 또 때저는 저거래 얘네들이 삼배 체발을 다다달라는 것들이 심지 탐지게 동데 사지게를 돌아 프린스 사지엔도 봐줘 더 많은 레지도나 삼배 체발 때다고 생각하고 보선지나 돈나 따스는 이제 도도 가를 따사로도 다다다는 게 세고야 줄래 요배 삼배 세비 요래 이 삼배 세비를 일단 흥기를 지어머리 딱 끼어 하나 쓰려고 유대 대를 뛰니 취직이 사와강에 시라부터이 취직이 가래 있는들이 제토고 요래 소놈을 뛰는 좋고 요래 럽고 요래 이 소놈 메네티 상호대 요당 소놈이 저변 양 럽고 뭐 산지 삼고였고 요다랑 삼만하지 럽고 요 럽고 그런데 소놈을 알래 소놈 집아 따따라는 게 삼지 세미 봐 삼바 세미 봐 뭔지 이 삼바디 저때 세부터라 이와미 기와 차로 들었더니 삼바 세미 바디 줄랑 대를 찌시 능게 좀 힘을 찌시 합정 됐다 소놈 턱을 때 하자 계시고 소놈 저번에 됐다 너는 가래들 삼바레지 또 빈뒤이 쩍쩍 로드 삼세우라 다스는 거 저타 못했다 대레지 대레들이 뛰어왔더니 시합 hingi yungori, hingi jiri shiab yungori, desumdi jik piju rori jiki yungori, desamlo tanga, ta sudam sabba kame, shenko mani chubada pannaya tanga, detaga rangi jigarab sebje tamdi pego, sami rosi saban nabar taba, dere tiri tiri sunam jakare sanga tiri ngubo sakega cho de ngubo rangi chubamba, sami cho shibar kange tiri rangi 삼바다 이게 쇼트가 당디 쇼를 시합치를 하고 요래 시합치를 들린 타톡들이 내가 람적가서 들이 당디 청년도 다왜 이직을 나서 로드 통을 그 가르치는 딱 잡을 게 동이티 주인을 한 것도 있으라면 들이 제대로 뭐는 자 다때서 나무 저래 대답지 들린 게 생적지나 들이 이는 피마였는데 마침 뭐요래 랑한테 아스망들이 사제 고맙다 말 타게는 로요래 데이터랑 지가 냠도 뒤쪽으로 되니 삼로던 거 수능을 조시 받지 되다 강도들 소시를 사바카센도 삼바들 때는 이게 저 집에 가서 찍어도 또 타위 타와지로 되는 삼모던 시라부터니 던로지 족 던로레스 sem나니 찍바레스 노바야 찍지 코 내가도 야 차와는 이제 그 무상하는 이제 그 좋고 또 거리 뭐좀 같이 조거를 배래 대답이 좋고 또 거리 좋고도 동네 가세요 대답을 삼모는 찍바는 나라 대화성 좀 잡아서 나 멀리로 못 쳐야지 코로나 동네 대답 때까지 다 당디 말고 다 계속지 동네 말이 다대 노린 정스 조고 사지 지면서 다 찍고 삼는데 때려 차로를 좋다 다 타위타 때살때 차노래 때려 삼고는 다 땅을 다 쓰는 저기 설문지는 다 삼바체미 봐 요나 때리서 니게랑 이게요 니게를 지레 싫어라 니게 때도 문지는 때리 살수는서 볼까면 땅가 삼바는 이제 치료로고도 없지오래 나 삼바자 치고 때문에 때 카드 많이 봐 돈도 내가 삼바심 나가면서 따야 삼로다가 소지셈 거야 되나 잠불는 게 생기 담지 들어서 차를 차게 통나 대기 동에 초를 따서 바로 다 되리 대 잡아도 초 동에 초나 따뜻히 비만 좀 다 이게 요래 따뜻히 대가 갑들이 말이 가리 시에는 라고 사와 가리시는 따뜻히는 거 저러래 따삭게 초지 대리 사미가 초지 생기더니 다 그러래 대답을 쓰는 저 소록도 하고 그때 뭐를 가리 딱 계산만 해봐 돌아면 와 니뭐 지도 물어와 야 대답들이 이제라서 그러면 봐 대답들 차고 되는 뭐 하는 같이 보이는 봐 이제 탑지는 뭐 와서 가는 가든가 송발에
So first, it's important that we recognize the cause of merit, and so most people do understand what is merit, but they don't actually really recognize what is the actual cause of merit. So it is said, also to put it in simple terms, it is said that without merit, one may make an effort as large as a mountain. With merit, the effort needed is just like a little spark of fire. This is like one saying, an old saying from Tibet that many of the elders always would say. For example, in a worldly context, first one goes to school, so then one gets an education, then one finds a job, and then one makes some money. So one is then able to enjoy all kinds of pleasures in a worldly life. And all of that depends on effort. You have to make an effort. We make this effort because we cling to the idea of the enjoyment of material things. So whatever we do it with an effort. We all make that same effort. But then the outcome is not always the same for everyone. So for some people are actually able to help the entire world. And at the same time, they can also live a good life. While others they may make an effort, but they are not even able to have a little room for themselves to stay in or food to eat. So why is there such a difference, even though we all try? And that comes down to the cause of merit. In the words of advice from the Sakya, it says that one who possesses an effort that is made with merit has the power of the shining sun. And an effort made lacking merit is as strong as the flame of a butter lamp. The flame of a butter lamp is impermanent. For example, sometimes we may experience great enjoyments in the early parts of our lives, but then it is all gone in the later parts of our lives. And so there is merit. We do enjoy some merit, but that is a temporary merit. It is impermanent. The merit that comes from the right motivation is a merit that stays with your mind for all future lifetimes, from lifetime to lifetime. And that merit is a mind of love and compassion, loving kindness. So if that is within your mind, if loving kindness is in your mind, then compassion will arise from that. A loving heart arises. All faults really come from self-grasping. If you possess love and compassion, self-grasping will naturally diminish. It simply can't stay. There is no place for it to stay if there is love in the mind. And so then wisdom increases. And so this is how merit increases in the mind. And so that is the difference. There's a difference, as you mentioned, in accumulating merit toward a certain field, toward a certain, and using a certain object, and also having a certain state of mind. So you should really analyze that. So many people make offerings. For example, we make different offerings and feast offerings, or some people are very generous. And however, even though we do that, we also have to see what is really the motivation behind these acts. And that really is most important, is the motivation behind these acts. And so that's the meaning of the field, the motivation, and the object. They make the difference when it comes to merit. So the field, the special field, is the 3 jewels, for example. There's this one story about that from the King Ashoka. In a previous life, he was a little boy who was a beggar boy who was playing with sand on the road. And then the Buddha came along and he offered that sand into the Buddha's begging bowl thinking in his own mind that this is gold. I'm offering this gold house of sand to the Buddha. So in his mind it was gold. And so he offered all this gold to the Buddha. And the Buddha recognized the motivation of this child, and he said to Ananda, this offering is very precious. Now take good care of it. Wrap it in the Dharma robe and then bring it to the temple, pour some water in it and put it on the shrine in the temple. So the Buddha recognized the intention of this child, and in a future life then that child became the famous King Ashoka, who became famous around the world. There are many stories about that king. This is one story how a small merit, a small act can become so vast and so powerful based on the unique, a certain field toward whom he made the offering. So the field was the Buddha. He made the offering to the Buddha. And then the offering itself, it became a gold offering for him. And then the uniqueness of the mind was that the child really developed a mind of a pure perception and bodhicitta. And this mind generation, the ability to think in this way is also the result of merit accumulated in previous lives. What we call merit is really something that we develop in our own mind. That is what we need to understand. So the mind generation or bodhicitta is the same as, has the same essence as this cause of merit. That is the cause of merit. So that is the unique mind, where you think that I'm making this offering to the three jewels, and so having made this offering, it will become to the benefit of all sentient beings. That is different than thinking I'm making this offering so that I am going to be happy in this lifetime. So if you think in this way, then maybe there will be some temporary benefit from that, but it won't go beyond that. If you have the unique intention, then it will go from lifetime to lifetime. So that is, if you think, for example, if you recite just a single Mani mantra and you think that may this benefit all sentient beings, may all sentient beings attain enlightenment, that becomes very powerful. So in brief, to summarize, that is, if you want to know what is merit, to put it into just one simple word, it is this state of mind that you have. It is a mind of love. And so from this mind of love arises compassion. And that is also the cause of merits that you bring with you from previous lives. And if you bring that with you, then there are some people who, whatever they do, whether it is in the Dharma or in worldly activities, they possess great wisdom. And they can do anything, really. Somebody who possesses merit can really do anything. Someone who lacks merit may still want to do the same thing, but they are just not successful in accomplishing it. So the accomplishment, the success in our activities depends really on the merit that we bring from previous lives. And merit is immeasurable love. And that goes with your mind from lifetime to lifetime. And from immeasurable love arises compassion, and from that arises wisdom. And then as a result, one gains merit. So it's very important to understand that. So therefore then, if I ask you, what is the cause of merit, then you know it is love. That is the cause of merit. And that also is, for example, in a mundane sense between two friends. If you have love, recognize that to be the cause of merit and to be the cause of happiness. Also in this context, if you have love, again, compassion arises, and from compassion, wisdom arises. And with wisdom, you will know how to benefit your friend, how to benefit each other. So this is how we can skillfully accumulate merit in whatever we do. As you mentioned before, we may make offerings and so on, but what's important is what you intend when you make this offering. It's important to have this mind of thinking, may all beings be benefited, may all beings benefit from this offering. And then whatever you do becomes an accumulation of great merit. So there is two kinds of merit. There is the kind of conceptual merit and the non-conceptual merit. The conceptual merit is the merit that is, for example, of offering material things, what we understand to be like the accumulation of merit. But then there's also the non-conceptual merit, and that is when through the power of love and compassion, the self-grasping diminishes and wisdom increases. When that happens, then temporarily on the path, self-grasping will diminish more and more. And eventually you attain enlightenment. So when self-grasping diminishes, you begin to think less about yourself. And when you hear of the suffering of others, for example, the suffering in the world, then that suffering will come to you. You will think more about the suffering of others and not so much about your own suffering. And when you hear about the suffering of others, the suffering in the world, you will pray for them. So that state of mind is also a cause of merit. A person who possesses that, their aspiration become very powerful. And then the power, their ability to benefit others becomes very powerful. And in future lifetimes, you will step closer and closer to enlightenment. And the purpose of others and yourself is accomplished simultaneously. So again, what is the cause of merit? It is love. And you should see for yourself by looking at your own mind, how much love do I actually have? And how much compassion do I have? And you can see that by seeing if a feeling arises. For example, when you think of an animal, like a little insect, a little animal, if you possess compassion, then, as we said, you will also possess wisdom. And with wisdom, you will be able to know that the body of this animal is different than my body, but our minds are the same. Just like I want to be happy, the animal also wants to be happy. And because it wants to be happy and not suffer, it is afraid when it gets cold. It is afraid when it gets hot. It suffers when it is hungry, just like I would suffer when I'm hungry. And that's why the ants are running around busily. And how much suffering is it when I'm really hungry? So then you understand that actually I am in such a privileged position as a precious human being. I experience so much happiness and well-being as a human being. But this animal is suffering so much. In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, all suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So why is this animal the way it is? Why does it suffer? It is because all suffering comes from wishing for one's own happiness. This is why it now has this body. And by reflecting in this way, you may recognize in your own mind the cause of merit. That is, again, immeasurable love. If immeasurable love is present, compassion will follow naturally. And if compassion is present, wisdom will naturally arise. So then when you see an animal, for example, or somebody suffering, you will feel that I have to help them. I must benefit them. And I feel sincere love for them, compassion for them. And then it does not just become lip service. You're not just saying that, but you're really feeling that in your mind. So you have to look at your own mind. Am I really feeling that in my mind or not? When I see a person or a little animal experiencing suffering, when that feeling of suffering comes to you, then that is a sign that loving kindness has arisen in your mind. So when that feeling is present, then you will actually be able to benefit them through compassion. And then at that point, whatever you do with body, speech, and mind will become a further cause of merit. And so this is how we accumulate merit, the conceptual merit, and then also the non-conceptual merit. The non-conceptual merit is when we actually purify the obscurations in our mind. So the at the end of our accumulation of merit, we dedicate our roots of virtue so that our merit does not become spoiled or destroyed by afflictive emotions or any of the other 4 causes that destroy our merit. And that is why dedication is so important. It is also said that the essence of skillful means is dedication. And this is what we mentioned also the other day during the teachings on the 5-fold path of Mahamudra prayer.
세군당 초와디 세군당 또 남자들이 식으로 되나 게다 되게 저제 강리지나 마음은 제 게다 당디게 호마지나 들 로마팅지 시바송 그래서 로마팅지 시바 강리지네 되니다 데 인게 로마팅지 시바데 요래 게와담 게와 로마팅스 엄청 이제 공부송은 되는 로마팅지 시바 대 먹기바레스 강리 코강 나도 같이 뒤셔서 쇼도고 거기 로마티지 데모크라고 요 로마티지 데모크라 거리들이 사와카리 저는들이 빼는고 보고 총총들 빼샤방 보여는 때 가사카바 또 열파 배도 땅이랑 소화 롱주시가 말이 대로 쏘는 거 유인데 주시 매봐 코디지 걸레 들어지 뒤수거들이 빼나 쏘는 거저 ram지 거서 좋고 요래 빼는 것도 다시 속자탕지 쇼다고 오마 때다 샤도 타데라 저거다지 무슨들이 생길 비바 때탑지 거기서 가지 뭐람 것도 없고 때타버들이 선하고 저런 저거 요래 그 가서 때타 마실 때다들이 때타 하 고리 임바래 싫어 때탑지 선하고 저런 오 자자자 빼는 또 가시는 샤차 로바 사마 민이선 빼는 람보치다 그랬더니 샤당 로바 차 여지도 좀 용도데 민지 풍부다고 차대리 사지 또 이제 람보지야 예제다 뭐라고 또 대다는 람지들이 사지 삼지 대다 뭐라고 저들이랑 저러지 아니니 요리 대답제 대다 임발지 소질이 당하는 대다 소질이 대발지는 오 뭐는 대다 다른 대답제 사지 저런도와 표현지시네 그래서 사바는 희게제다 소질이 대바 당하게야다 데르티니들이 심지니 내게야 대답제 소질 너는 진짜 너네들이 게타를 세우든지 삼대리 먹기를 먹미게 니로 때 따와지 답제 먹밤에 번인게도 따와라는 이제 그런 자나더니 거기서 남반도 거버들이 이런 것도 먹기를 이제 그런 핀트들이 다니니지 요때 인 사바지 sabsebke perti kamni 중족 문함데 같이 오다 중족 문화데 또다 망보는 뭐지 같이 돼도 라미 요래 중족 문화데 같이 이제 이름 뭐요 진짜와니 말이 중족들 자세히 와라고 마시와 말이 마소와 말이 콩고 그속 매만 나가를 파들이 그때 다이가 다 붙여놔 버리고 그래 이는 콩 대송제 가리 조화를 좀 심지 누구의 대타고 요래스 대타고 대싸움도 은희 대타고 동해 대도 연구요 대타고 동해의 센터 랩 동해의 센터를 오서 빼내는 남들은 랑 남미 짜치슈즈 남들은 도우나 저 바로 때 연구요 같이 가요 요리 너희 다 로요서 야 디지털 랑가리 바체성서는 세부 동네 소화 가리 비티도 오지도 초와대 요리 제가 티다가 담지들 받치 매바로 저다듯이 욕하고 일어서 말도 비지 처음에서 대신에 중요한 뭐 티다시 주선 바지 제라티는 싸움을 따르지 동해 소를 새로 초와들려고 요리 초와들려니 초와들려 오 티다가 동해 초와 먼저나 고소라 이렇게 새로 가와서 내가 도바 때도 뭐람들이 등에 담지 니와를 줬다 봤다 그랬대 저들이 조족만 돼서 오늘 은희 삼바다 이제 무슨 범니들이 조족만 하다 땡사 버리 지도를 삼했던 이제 등에 삼로도나 대다고 삼에 대다 삼바다 이제 무슨 기아데 다 기업까지 됐다니 다른 게 뭐가 매번 뭐 그냥 뭐지를 오 습지 탑저 때야 요상 다 되면서 또 나머지는 냠자지를 또 일을 요구요래 되면 그것부터 삼hin게데 습지 탑저 때야 요상 나중을 주던 거요 그다 주던니 되는 뭐지요래 되면 게다 망문은제 망문 어게 개와테도 더요 상을 생각 도도도 요래 깝들막 따뜻한 게 창바보지 차요서 삼로상 깝들이 노바다는 라사 코로랑데 게다 식차리벨 오 게다데 삼디다 대바 대라서 뭐 다바 다는 뭐를 따면 따뜻 게다 손음저래 예를 해당다 차도 따뜻 먹다로 밤에 와대 잡제들 먹기 와서 되게 sem남 또 저거 저도 그래 대하고를 들이다다 너무 심상마지 참마지 받으려는 것들이 뭐이 가는 것뿐이 삭제된 거와 삼hin적인 거와 세미바 거와 삼위적인 거와 되게들이 잡아주고 되게 가능성이 항상 많은 척고서 동안 이 항상 뭐 게자게지 뭐지 이게 집어서 설명드리고 심지 탐지 동도 사제도 뭐 지금 나다다 삼hin지 약보다 째서 뭐고서 대시서 들이 세지 시당 가서 그러면 이제 말이 때문에 대다 게다 긴지 버셔버체 야 게다 줄머셔버체 게다 대 줄머셔버더니 산지 공방 막 탑져 봐도 게다 대 윤체요 말이 대는 내토고요 대외는 들이다 게다 집 저저시 중는 주고 체도 들이다 뭐하듯 머리 게다도 저저대 망문연세 lokwarmunse o singile 소지를 피고 소지를 누워서 때도 피고 일어나서는 양들이 lokwarmu 와서 막그 lokwarmunse 야 요바지는지 다 얘기해서 같이 얘기하려면 별 사질 거야 보서지는 오 뒤치 사질 거야 보서지는 양견 참는데 어찌지 이발을 뭐깡 참고서 주디 개와도 약벌이면서 아단 요바지를 되는데 그래 대로 그랬더니 시 조금 말에 게다 유바지는지 게다 먹는데 같이 맞아게 오 땅에 대도 더도 맨날 시 이게 오 딸이 거기대도 더도 나 대바지 어째 지시게 어째 시를 들지 맞아게 커도고요래 다들 너무 맞아 커도 대면 거기 체들이 뭐하대 뭐에 답하면 들 돌아도야 요 말이 산지가 삼티잡지 초대되는 도살래 다 저택받지 타이 잡지들 도서를 타이 잡도 가게 타고 말 때다가 이 가당가디 뭐나 그래 삼단 기지 초대를 시바데 문지기 치보래 대외를 되는 뭐하다 하장 같이 보래 대외를 가리는지 다 sakti 상미 가는 뭐하듯이 sakti 기왕은 이것도 상촉성부터 담지를 체배박은 걸 잡아 체배박은 뭐하다 이 상미 기왕은 될 람당 야자 정도니 돈이 가지고 드린 코스를 나발도 또 뭐와서 대지들은 요새 기체 모여야지.
So it is said that it's very important to dedicate our roots of virtue or merit. And so the reason is because there are four causes that will destroy our roots of virtue. And so one of them is if we don't dedicate, then the virtue becomes exhausted. And so now, again, when we dedicate first, then this feeling of love has to actually arise. And I have been mentioning this to you, I've been telling you this over and over again. It's really important that an actual feeling arises. And it's that feeling that arises that will destroy all kinds of negative thoughts. So that is related to the four causes that destroy our roots of virtue. So first is to not dedicate at all. And that is because then we are kind of leaving it in an indifferent state. So the virtue becomes kind of indifferent. And now some people say that there are three states of mind: virtuous, non-virtuous, and in an indifferent or neutral state of mind. But Lord Chikden Sumgön actually said that there are no three states of mind, because this so-called neutral state of mind is actually non-virtuous too. Because it is the neutral state of mind is where we don't actually recognize how we are carried away by our thoughts. And therefore, the neutral state of mind is really a state of ignorance, which is non-virtuous by nature. For example, it is like if you're giving a little child a lot of money, then they won't know how to manage that money, and they will just spend it all over the place and waste all of the money. So now then there's, for example, certain animals. I'm speaking about merit and the different manifestations. Merit comes about, the cause of merit, as we have said, manifests itself naturally in samsara and in nirvana. For example, also in the form of an animal, there are certain animals whose flesh and milk and their bones and their blood and so on are all actually directly beneficial, almost medicinal. And that is actually also due to the power of their previous aspirations. It is also a merit. It is just we don't normally recognize that at all. But if you recognize that, you can see that also as a cause of merit, actually. Now, for example, it is that the elephant is an animal that is all the way through, is completely medicinal. Everything in the elephant is medicinal. The flesh and the bones and the blood, the tusk and everything is medicinal. So the elephant is like a kind of a heap of medicine. And actually, the Buddha himself also took birth as an elephant before, through the power of aspiration prayer to benefit beings. Often Buddhas or Bodhisattvas take birth as an animal. So it's also important to recognize that in order to develop a pure perception. So on the one hand, we develop a pure perception. On the other hand, we develop faith and devotion and recognize this is the power of aspiration. And this aspiration is that cause of merit. And so on the one hand, you cultivate compassion for sentient beings. On the other hand, you sustain a pure perception and a mind of devotion. And so in brief, this state of mind that is virtuous there is basically a compassionate state of mind is a virtuous state of mind. And there is two kinds of compassion. There is the objectified compassion and the unobjectified compassion. Those who understand the nature of the mind, they will rest in the unobjectified, the all-embracing compassion, by resting in the view. And within that state, there is no thought of the three spheres. And then sometimes we also cultivate the conceptual, objectified compassion. And that is in a context where we see a duality of self and other. And here we then cultivate compassion for others. And for example, a good example of this is the Bodhicharya Vatara dedication and prayer by Shantideva. And some people actually, they don't really like this prayer and they say that he's just going through, there's just too many things. He's mentioning all kinds of needless things in this prayer. It's just too much. But it's not that Shantideva doesn't know or is basically just rambling without knowing it. But he really actually gives an example of all of the suffering that beings actually experience. And so when he actually gave this teaching, his throne actually elevated itself and was hovering above the clouds in the sky, which also is a sign of the great purity of this prayer. And so in any case, in this prayer, he goes into each of the sufferings of beings in the six realms, and he's basically showing us this is the suffering that they experience. May they become free from this kind of suffering. And if you really think about each of the sufferings of sentient beings, then it actually comes to your own mind and you experience the suffering. For example, when you read that verse that says, may those who put to sail a boat or something, trying to cross the ocean. May they reach the other shore and meet with their kith and kin. So when you read this prayer, then if it comes to your mind, then you imagine something like, for example, if you have a family member, for example, that you love very much, your most precious family member, and they are far away and they're coming to visit on an airplane. So then you're so happy. You think that they're coming soon. You're anticipating them. But then imagine something happens to the plane. There's an accident. How much suffering would you experience? And so that's the kind of suffering you want you to feel when you read this prayer. And then that is why we recite, may all those who put out on a boat or on a travel, may they all reach their destination without any obstacles. So then you will read that with an understanding and a real feeling of the suffering that would arise should they not reach the other shore or reach the destination. So that feeling really has to arise in your mind, so that it's very clear in your mind, oh, this is the kind of suffering that arises if they do not reach the destination. May they not experience that. May they only experience happiness and joy. And so this is how then you transform suffering into happiness, by reading each of the lines of the Shantideva prayer. So this is how someone who actually cultivates, meditates on love and compassion will reflect. And for them, this prayer will actually be extremely profound. And the words in this prayer will have a very special power to them. Because when they read those words, a real experience of love and compassion arises within their mind. And when that arises, then that will turn into the unobjectified compassion. So when that feeling arises, then you can rest your mind in a state of emptiness. And in the end of that, then you dedicate. And so there is different ways of dedicating. You can either think that now I'm giving my virtue to all sentient beings, or from an ultimate perspective, you rest in the state of emptiness. So from a relative perspective, you become selfless and you give away all your roots of virtue to other sentient beings without holding on to anything. And if we do not dedicate in this way, then there is a danger that our merit, our root of virtue, becomes destroyed. Because then it's very easy to feel prideful about having made this great deed, and you think that, oh, I did this or that, and then you're holding on to it. And then the next moment, maybe you get angry, and then that is what completely destroys your root of virtue. Because again, the root of virtue is love, and when anger arises, then love is destroyed. So what we call virtue or merit again is love, is faith, devotion, a pure perception. And anger and jealousy, ignorance, unmindfulness, these are all non-virtuous states of mind. And so this is how one thought destroys another thought. And so therefore it's important that you dedicate your roots of virtue with a pure mind, immediately, instantly. So either through the conceptual dedication of love and compassion, or the non-conceptual dedication of resting in a state of samadhi. And as I mentioned before, immediately, the moment you recite even just one single Mani mantra, immediately dedicate this virtue in one of those two ways. So you can, for example, think with compassion of all sentient beings and think that I'm giving all these roots of virtue to them. And in this way, if it's dedicated in this way, then the merit cannot be destroyed by anger, for example, because then the merit has been sealed by the dedication and therefore cannot be destroyed by all kinds of conditions that may arise. And then this is how the virtue becomes inexhaustible and remains continuously until you attain the state of enlightenment. So the reason it is said why we need to dedicate our roots of virtue is because there are 4 causes that can potentially destroy our virtue if we don't dedicate. And so the first one is to not dedicate at all. That would exhaust the root of merit or virtue. And the second one would be the corrupt dedication that is done with a corrupt intention. For example, if your mind is biased and you think, I want to help this one side, but I want to harm this other side. That's a corrupt dedication. Then the third one is it becomes destroyed through regret. For example, sometimes it happens that, for example, you buy a very nice Buddha statue. You think it's very nice, and somebody tells you it's nice. But then somebody else comes along and tells you, oh, it's actually not good at all, and you shouldn't have gotten it because there's no virtue in that. And then if you believe that, you will regret that you ever got that statue. And that's actually another reason also why we should never tell people something like that, because it will cause them to regret. So that's the third one. And the fourth is to feel prideful, to feel puffed up about your roots of virtue. When you feel that I did this, I did that, and then you tell other people about the great things that you did, so then they think, oh, he's so great, and maybe you tell them that so they trust you and so on. And that's all developing your pride. And pride is also an afflictive emotion. So then you become carried away by an afflictive emotion. And so in order for that not to happen, in order for your mind not to take away your virtue with afflictive emotions, that is why we need to dedicate and seal the virtue with dedication. So it cannot be spoiled or destroyed in any way. And so if we seal the virtue with dedication, then it is like we are adding our merit into the great ocean of merit of all the Buddhas. It is like in the fivefold path of Mahamudra aspiration prayer, the great ocean of love and compassion of the Buddhas, which is a precious treasure. Because if you add only one drop of water into the ocean of the great merit of the Buddhas, then this drop of water will never be destroyed. It will always be one with the ocean water. So it's very important to recognize that, and that is also why it's very important to dedicate all your virtues. And so again, you can dedicate the virtue either through the conceptual, not dedication on the relative level, which is through the relative bodhicitta or immeasurable love, or through the non-conceptual dedication where you rest in a state of emptiness that is free from the three spheres. But either way, it's important to dedicate the virtue in one of those two ways.
Semji tamje de dang danger je mindo tamje ta de dong ba cho san chok sba kan la sa jok pa te da me je mon de ji de cha ja ka le jok pa tamje te tu je che te da man de ji jok pa tu je che ta si de le
Thank you, all the Dharma friends who have joined on the live stream and who have joined the Mani recitation group Chen. Thank you, everyone, and Dashi Delek.
Thank you, Garchen Rinpoche, for giving us the preface teaching. On behalf of the organizer, Dozin Dundrup Rinpoche, Garchen Vietnam, Drigar, Amitabha Center, and all participants, we would like to show our great appreciation and gratitude to His Eminent Garchen Rinpoche for your boundless compassion and love. Despite your advent in age and condition, Rinpoche has compassionately accepted our request to lead the retreat, blessing us with the precious teaching and guidance on the path. May you be healthy, remain firm and steadfast for hundreds of eons, and may all of your aspirations be fulfilled. May we always be in your heart, and may our minds never be separated. We love you very much.
Come on.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Besides, we would like to take this opportunity to send millions thank you to Dozin Dundrup Rinpoche for encouraging us, guiding us in many ways. Without him, the retreat will never be successful. So please accept our deepest gratitude, and we would like to invite Dozin Jindruk Rinpoche to have some word to His Eminent Garchen Rinpoche.
Vietnam, Drigar Amitabha Chuchoke, complete name, the one of the enriching things about the one drip to Pachus. The name Dota with the name Giva Lapuch, Satian Dota, the name Daily Wonder, the Data Tom Jitini, Rinpoche, two just enough to keep one corner at the by Indu. The name also open nine legal and some one in the Chile. Captain Nami the Cheshire. Club part the name Dota with the name, Rinpoche Gono Chimbo in Ba. Sale Jachimbo Yujang, the name mix up the name also to Rane, the name Chuchun Holo Jacher or Chopu Yona, the Tamchilaya, the name Gary and that. Mama Tom taking suction to the church, yes.
So now the third Mani 100 million mantra recitation retreat organized by our center in Vietnam has been perfectly completed. We were able to accumulate a vast amount of merit, and the retreat also has been accomplished most excellently. And that is due to Rinpoche's compassionate blessings and aspiration prayers. And therefore I would like to thank Rinpoche on behalf of the organizers and everyone who supported this retreat. And especially also because Rinpoche is already elderly, and even though his activities are still vast, he still gave us this time to turn the wheel of Dharma so extensively. So therefore, on behalf of all the disciples, I would like to thank Rinpoche.
Today, Otaramana, Jokal, Nyamyo Nani, Legalini, concept of the top of the Kabaya Tanjason. Today, Nyamyo Nama Haba, Yan Tajan, and it's Mana Nimpa, Tonani, Makushita Johnson. Today, Lapa the Katsama, Jokal, Tamana, Saya Kelly, Nani Hajaman Johnson. Then the dark time, the done the toss and the top time getting the top source of the same time getting it, saying the king purchasing the next number don't have to do the land, Mona Jama Chomba now, yes.
Chukla Karesong,
To keep Mona Jama Chomba. Oh, Kelly, Mana Kelly,
So now during this 100 million Mani mantra recitation retreat, so many, aside from the people who supported the retreat, also so many other people have joined, and anyone who really having joined or supported the retreat really did so with much sincerity and a lot of hard work, and they practiced hard. And there was also many who were not able to join directly on the live stream, but they actually still submitted many Mani mantras that they have accumulated or that they have committed to accumulating. And I pray for anyone that has in any way connected to this retreat, and then in general for all sentient beings, that they may become free of all negative circumstances and hindrances, and may experience happiness in their bodies and minds, and I pray for Rinpoche's long life. At the end.
그지지.
내가 탐지 개우 자war라 되는 맞서 엄마 탐지 개와 네 럼보지 끝에 샤페 요네 요네 띵지네 맞서 엄마 탐지 일단 남바 콘도네 람돈다 잠조 좀 마치 같은 나로 나시로 좀
And also pray that through these roots of virtue that we have accumulated, of all of us disciples, that His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche will live a long life, and that we are praying for this over and over again, so that Rinpoche will remain with us continuously.
Thank you, Garchen Rinpoche. Thank you, Drigar Rinpoche. Now I would like to request Christina on behalf of the organizer, retreat sponsor, and all participants make offering to His Eminent Garchen Rinpoche.
Oh, come on. Yeah, come on.
Thank you, Christina. So we would also send our heartfelt thanks to Garchen Buddhist Institute, GBI Lama, Director Christina, GBI technical team, and GBI staff for your great support in arranging Garchen Rinpoche's schedule and condition, also taking your time participating in this retreat. So many thanks, Ina, for translating the precious words of Guru. May I again request Christina, on behalf of the organizer, sponsor, and all participants, make offering to GBI Center, GBI Lama, and Ina.
Long
life Rinpoche. So, dear Garchen Rinpoche and Sangha, we would like to report to you that up till now, we have achieved and exceeded the mantra count of 100 million money mantra, and we still have the rest of the day to accumulate more. So also during the retreat, we honorably welcome around 300 people from 20 countries to register. So we would like to dedicate our merits for the best certification of the disease, for the stop of the world, for longevity of Garchen Rinpoche on all master. Please, thank you. Please bless us, and may you always be with us.
Oh, TV 빠져 라메 잡에세. 디디지 사타용 찹. TV 주랑 사죠 바지. 티마이랑 네버 짜시쇼.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Now I would like to offer a thank you video to Garchen Rinpoche. Here, we are chanting long life prayers to Rinpoche with a familiar melody. In the video, there are photos of Vietnamese disciples who practicing meritorious activities in the 15 days of Rinpoche, dedicated to Guru longevity. So please show the screen. Thank you.
Rinpoche la, Garchen Rinpoche.
Come on.
Gewa Kangwe, Cheti Kuzi Yurin to 10 Barman. Kunyiche Kuzu Tedana, Kuzi Yurin to 10 Barsho. Om So. Judewa Chembo Jojiku, Lingana Soran Saron Jojo, Dini Jedoga Jodeko, Micheko Sundani Jodejo, Nina Suju.
So this is the video we offer to Garchen Rinpoche. Now everyone, please turn on your video and audio to offer kata to Garchen Rinpoche and say thank you. Dashidele to Garchen Rinpoche.
가다 교육을 강조를 가다
Thank you Rinpoche La. We wish you long life.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Long life, Rinpoche.
Thank you Rinpoche. Long life. Thank you Rinpoche La. Thank you very much. So please.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you Rinpoche for your time. So now we would like to ask Rinpoche to rest.
나는 꿈에는 좋으지.
Thank you Rinpoche so much. We see you